Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Level Up Your English.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Emma.
And I'm Jake.
In today's lesson, we're going to work through a real-life situation that can feel surprisingly intimidating even for confident English speakers.
Opening a bank account.
Exactly. It sounds simple on paper, but once you're actually sitting in front of someone at the bank, being asked questions about residency, documentation, fees, tax details, and account options, it can become quite overwhelming.
Especially because the language tends to be more formal than an everyday conversation.
Right. And if you've recently moved to a new country, started a new job, or you're simply trying to get your finances organized, this is the kind of conversation you may genuinely need to have.
So in today's dialogue, we're going to show you how that interaction might sound in real life, using more natural and more advanced English.
Let's begin. Good morning. I'd like to open a bank account if possible.
Good morning. Yes, certainly. We can help you with that. Have you already decided what kind of account you're looking for, or would you like me to talk you through the available options first?
I do have a general idea, but I'd appreciate some guidance before making a final decision. I need an account for day-to-day use, salary payments, and online transactions, but I'd also like to understand what charges or conditions might be attached.
Of course. In that case, the most suitable option is usually a standard current account, although that depends slightly on your circumstances. Some accounts come with monthly maintenance fees, while others are free of charge provided certain requirements are met.
I see. And what kind of requirements are we talking about?
Typically, maintaining a minimum balance, setting up a regular salary deposit, or using the account frequently enough to meet the bank's activity criteria. It varies from one account to another, so it's worth looking at the details carefully.
That makes sense. I definitely prefer to avoid unnecessary fees if I can, but I'm also interested in something practical and straightforward, rather than choosing the cheapest option and discovering later that it doesn't actually suit my needs.
That's usually the best approach. People often focus only on whether the account is free, but in practice, the more important question is whether it works for the way you actually manage your money.
Exactly. I'd rather choose something that's convenient in the long run.
In that case, before we go any further, I'll need to confirm a few details. Are you currently resident in the country?
Yes, I am. I've recently moved here for work, and I've just finished sorting out the main administrative paperwork, which is why I'm trying to open the account now rather than leaving it any longer.
Understood. In that case, we'll need proof of identity, proof of address, and depending on the account type, possibly your tax identification number as well. Do you happen to have those documents with you today?
Yes, I brought my passport, a recent utility bill, and my tax number. I wasn't completely sure what would be required, so I thought it was safer to come prepared.
That was definitely the right decision. It saves a great deal of time when clients bring everything with them from the outset.
I've learned that the hard way in other places.
Yes, unfortunately, that tends to happen.
Before I hand everything over, could I ask a few practical questions? I just want to make sure I understand exactly what I'm signing up for.
Absolutely. That's a sensible thing to do. What would you like to know?
First of all, I'd like to know whether the account includes a debit card automatically or whether that has to be requested separately.
It's usually included, although the physical card may take several working days to arrive by post. In the meantime, depending on the account, you may still be able to access online banking and, in some cases, a virtual card.
All right, and is online banking set up as part of the process, or is that something I would need to activate afterwards?
We normally register you for online banking at the same time as we open the account. Once the account is active, you'll receive instructions on how to create your login credentials securely.
Good, that's important to me because I do almost everything digitally.
That's very common now. Most people want to be able to transfer money, check transactions, and manage their settings through the app rather than coming into a branch.
Exactly. I'd also like to know whether there are any hidden charges I should be aware of, for example, transfer fees, foreign transaction fees, or penalties for not meeting certain conditions.
That's a very good question, and it's one more people should ask. Some services are included as standard, but others depend on the account package. International transfers, withdrawals abroad, and currency conversion fees are often where people get caught out if they haven't read the terms carefully.
Yes, that's precisely what I'm trying to avoid.
Understandably so. If you'd like, once I've checked your documents, I can walk you through the options in a bit more detail and point out the differences that tend to matter most in practice.
Yes, I'd appreciate that. I'm not just looking for the quickest option, I'd like to make an informed decision.
That's probably the best way to approach it. Let me have a look at your documents first. All right, everything seems to be in order. Your passport is valid, the proof of address is recent enough, and your tax number is correctly listed. So from an administrative point of view, there shouldn't be any issue opening the account today.
That's good to hear. I was half expecting to be told I was missing one specific document and would have to come back another day.
That does happen more often than you'd think, especially when people assume the requirements are more flexible than they actually are. In your case, though, you've brought exactly what we need, which makes things much easier.
Good. So what happens next?
The next step is choosing the account type in a bit more detail. As I mentioned earlier, the standard current account is usually the most practical option for everyday use, but there are still a few variations within that category. Some come with no monthly charge but more limited services, while others include additional features such as overdraft arrangements, travel insurance, or reduced foreign transaction fees.
I see. To be honest, I'm not especially interested in extras I'm unlikely to use. What matters more to me is keeping the account practical, transparent, and inexpensive to maintain.
That's perfectly reasonable. In that case, I'd probably narrow it down to two realistic options. The first is a basic current account with no monthly fee, but it does charge for certain international services. The second has a small monthly fee, but it offers more flexibility if you regularly transfer money abroad or use your card in other currencies.
How small is small?
€7 per month.
That's not excessive, but it depends what I'm getting in return. I travel from time to time, and I may need to make occasional international transfers, though probably not every month. I'm trying to work out whether I'd actually save money overall or simply end up paying for features I barely use.
That's exactly the right way to think about it. A lot of clients choose an account based on one attractive feature and only later realize the overall structure doesn't suit their habits. If your international usage is only occasional, the basic account may still be more cost-effective, even if certain individual transactions are slightly more expensive.
That makes sense. What about cash withdrawals? Are there limits or extra fees I should know about?
Withdrawals from our own cash machines are free of charge. If you use another bank's ATM, it depends on the machine and the agreement between institutions. Abroad, fees vary more significantly, especially outside the Eurozone. That's another area where people are sometimes caught off guard.
Right. And what about overdrafts? I'm not planning to use one, but I'd still rather understand the terms in advance than discover them after the fact.
Very wise. Overdrafts can be arranged, but they're not automatic. We'd need to assess your eligibility first, and if one is approved, there would be clear terms regarding the limit, interest, and repayment expectations. If no formal overdraft is in place and the account goes below zero, additional charges may apply, so it's definitely something worth paying attention to.
Yes, I'd prefer to avoid that altogether if possible. I'm fairly careful with money, but I also know that banking terms can be written in a way that sounds clear until you actually need to rely on them.
That's unfortunately true. The language in financial documents is often technically accurate, but not always immediately transparent to the average client.
Exactly. That's why I'm asking so many questions now. I'd rather sound overly cautious for 10 minutes than sign something I only half understand.
Honestly, from our side, that's refreshing. People often feel embarrassed about asking detailed questions, even though they're making a decision that can affect how they manage their finances for years.
I suppose people assume opening an account is a routine formality.
And in one sense, it is, but routine does not necessarily mean insignificant.
Fair point.
Now, another thing worth discussing is the digital side of the account. You mentioned that you do most things online. In that case, the mobile app and online banking interface will probably matter almost as much to you as the fee structure.
Yes, definitely. I need something reliable. If the app is difficult to use or the security process is unnecessarily complicated, it becomes frustrating very quickly.
Ours is generally straightforward. You can check your balance, review transactions, make transfers, freeze and unfreeze your card, and receive spending notifications in real time. We also use two-step verification for added security.
That sounds fine. Are there any limits on transfers through the app?
There are default daily limits, yes, though they can usually be adjusted depending on the circumstances and the level of verification on your account.
And if I need to receive my salary, there's nothing special I need to do beyond giving my employer the account details.
That's right. Once the account is active, you'll receive your IBAN and all the standard banking information. From that point onward, your employer can pay directly into the account.
Good. That's one of the main reasons I need to set this up soon.
Then, timing-wise, you're doing the right thing. If we complete the application today, the account itself should be open fairly quickly, although the physical card may take a few business days to arrive.
That's not a problem. As long as the account is active and I can access the online banking reasonably soon, I can manage.
That should be perfectly manageable.
One more question. If I decide later that the account doesn't really suit me, how difficult is it to switch to a different one?
Not especially difficult, provided the account is in good standing and there are no unresolved issues. In most cases, we can help clients transition from one product to another without too much disruption. It's not something people do casually, but neither is it a permanent trap.
That's reassuring. So, based on everything you've said, I'd suggest the standard current account without the premium package. It seems to match your needs more closely, at least for now. If your circumstances change later, for example, if you begin traveling more frequently or making regular international payments, you could always upgrade.
Yes, that sounds sensible. I'd rather start with the simpler option and adjust later if necessary than overcommit from the beginning.
I think that's a reasonable decision.
All right, then let's go ahead with that one. Certainly, I'll start the application now, and while I'm entering your details, I may need to ask you a few more formal questions for compliance purposes.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Good. First of all, can you confirm your full legal name as it appears on your passport?
Before we go any further, I just want to make sure I understand the next stage of the process correctly. Am I simply confirming my details now, or is there still a formal compliance check after this?
There is still a compliance section, yes, although it's fairly standard. We're required to confirm a few details about the intended use of the account, the expected activity, and whether it will be used solely for personal purposes.
That's absolutely fine. I assumed there would be a regulatory element at some point, especially given how strict financial procedures tend to be.
Yes, that's usually the case. So, first of all, can you confirm your full legal name as it appears on your passport?
Yes, of course. It's Emma Carter.
Thank you. And can you also confirm your current residential address?
Yes, it's 14 Willow Street, apartment 3B.
Perfect. Now I need to ask a few routine questions regarding the purpose of the account. What will be the primary use of it? Everyday personal spending, salary payments, savings, or something else?
Primarily everyday personal use and salary payments. I'll most likely use it for rent, household bills, subscriptions, and ordinary living expenses, rather than for anything unusual or business-related.
Understood. And do you expect regular monthly income to be paid into the account?
Yes, my salary will be paid into it once a month.
Good. Will you also be receiving funds from abroad or making international transfers on a regular basis?
Not regularly, no. Possibly from time to time, but certainly not as a frequent pattern of activity.
That's perfectly fine. And just to confirm, this account will be exclusively for personal purposes rather than for any form of business activity.
Yes, exclusively for personal use.
Excellent. That keeps the application considerably more straightforward.
I'm always relieved to hear the words "more straightforward" in a bank.
A reasonable reaction.
Before I sign anything, I'd like to read through the key terms carefully. I know most of it is probably standard, but I'd rather take a few extra minutes now than realize later that I misunderstood something important.
That's definitely the sensible approach. Most of the agreement is standard, but the details people tend to overlook are often the ones that matter most later on. Card replacement charges, international service fees, disputed payments, or the conditions attached to specific services.
Yes, exactly. Those are the kinds of details that seem minor until suddenly they aren't.
Quite. Here is the account summary on the first page. It outlines the main features, the fee structure, and the core services included. The following pages cover the general terms and conditions, privacy information, and the security obligations attached to the account.
All right, let me just check I've understood this correctly. There's no monthly maintenance fee for the account itself, but certain services, especially international ones or printed statements, may involve additional charges. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Routine online services are included, but certain manual or international services can carry separate fees depending on the circumstances.
And this section here refers to replacement fees if the debit card is lost or stolen?
Yes, if the card is lost, stolen, or needs to be replaced urgently, the applicable charge depends on the specific situation. Ordinary wear and tear is treated differently.
That makes sense. And this part about account security is essentially telling me that I'm responsible for protecting my login details, monitoring suspicious activity, and reporting anything unusual as soon as possible.
Exactly. The wording is formal, but that's the practical meaning of it.
Good. I think the main points are clear now.
If you're happy to proceed, you can sign at the bottom of this page and then again on the final page.
All right. There we are.
Thank you. I'll countersign it on behalf of the bank.
So is the account officially open at this point, or does it still need to go through one final internal step before it becomes active?
It is effectively being opened now, although full activation may take a short while to complete in the system. In most cases, online banking access becomes available very soon afterwards, and the physical debit card is sent separately within a few business days.
That's fine. As long as I can access the account details reasonably soon, I should be able to send everything my employer needs without delay.
That shouldn't be a problem. If you'd like, I can print your account details and IBAN for you now so you have them immediately.
Yes, I'd appreciate that. It would save me having to wait for the digital setup before passing the details on.
Of course, I'll print them for you now.
I have to admit, this has been much smoother than I expected. I was preparing myself for at least one bureaucratic complication.
That tends to happen when people arrive without the right documents or try to choose an account before they've worked out what they actually need. In your case, you came prepared, which makes the whole process much more manageable.
Good preparation saving the day. That's reassuring.
Here you are, your printed account details, along with a copy of the signed agreement. I'd recommend keeping both somewhere safe until your online access is fully activated and the debit card arrives.
Perfect. Thank you very much for your help.
You're very welcome. And if any questions come up once you start using the account, feel free to come back in or contact us directly.
I will. Thanks again.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
You too. So, as you can see, opening a bank account involves much more than simply saying, "I'd like to open an account."
You may need to explain your situation, ask practical questions, understand formal terms, and make sure the account genuinely suits your needs.
And that's exactly why conversations like this are useful. They help you prepare for real situations using the kind of English people actually speak.
Not perfect textbook English. Real English.
If you found this lesson useful, don't forget to subscribe to level up your English.
And we'll see you in the next video.